Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder. So today's video is about the A2D-1 Skyshark, not to be confused with the 82 Sky Raider, because this is an American 6.7 premium ground attacker, and it has a very interesting payload option variety. But I also have to say that it is probably a relatively expensive hangar decoration. And that has nothing really to do with the plane being bad. In fact, the plane itself is great. It has very powerful turboprops that feed a counter-rotating prop assembly, and it really has the strength to pull all the heavy bombs and rockets in the air. Also, the 20mm are amazing, etc., etc. But very often other factors come in that just ruin your experience. There are the civil line modifiers, for instance. There are the map rotation. You're at the mercy of your team, not just the enemy team, and also at the matchmaker and the map rotation, as I said. So that already creates too many ifs that are where fighters are a bit more independent of them. One of the main problems is that you have such an amazing reputation or such an amazing payload option that much is expected from you, but also the enemy team knows that you're both easy prey but also dangerous if they don't really care about you, so somebody eventually is coming after you, and that is not a nice experience since you don't have that kind of turn capability that a Sky Raider has. I'm not saying that the Sky Raider behaves more like a Zero, but the Sky Raider series of planes that just seem to turn a bit better. So it is more similar to the Westland Wyvern. But now let's talk about the payload options before I talk again about the rest of the plane. So when it comes to the armament, we have 2x2 wing-mounted 20mm T-31 cannons with overall 800 rounds. They have the same statistics, a rate of fire and ammunition belts as the ANM-3 cannons that are more likely spread across the American tech tree, so you practically have the same 20mm armament as the 84 Sky Raider. When it comes to the payload, well, there are 5 payload options that are interesting. First of all, the 20 250-pound bombs or the 20 HVAR rockets. And then my personal 3 favorites are the 2 2,000-pound bombs plus 8 500-pound bombs, or 2 2,000-pound bombs and 20 HVAR rockets, or, if you get a rather rare Pacific map, 2 Mark 13/44 torpedoes, which are amongst the best airdrop torpedoes in game at the moment. So you can see the variety of the plane is there. It is absolutely amazing at this and is very well suited for various different tasks, and you also can change the loadout if necessary when returning back to the base. Furthermore, the plane has an arrestor hook, if I remember correctly, so you are also suited for carrier operations. Then you also have very efficient flaps and also air brakes. The plane can reach high speeds in a straight line. If you have dropped your ordnance, you can see easily breaking 720 kilometers per hour on deck and above 600 even with full payload. So there is nothing too wrong with it. Now I'm talking here only about the air RB scenario, and I think that many of the payload options are also very well suited for tank RB. But this is something that I do not cover right now, and so now I want to prepare here to land on the airfield, and then I notice, oh, there is a Horton arriving. So I now have to retract the flaps and the air brakes and the landing gear, and then have to accelerate. And there you can see the plane is not really a slouch, but turning, it doesn't want to turn. Yes, all those bomb and rocket pylons, they add a lot of drag, but still I think that a Sky Raider could handle this just a touch better. And there you can see that the engine is indeed powerful and can pull off some nice maneuvers with this plane, despite it being a relatively heavy boy just after a quick acceleration time. So that is nice. Another addition here is the radar, but it's more or less useless. Let's face it, it is useless. That's what it is. The next thing is that I think the plane suffers now a little bit from the American syndrome. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let me explain this. So at this battle rating of 6.7, there are many options for bombers and ground attackers, and so a lot of the American team consists of the maximum amount of bombers, that is 4, and also a huge amount of attackers. That means that the rest of your team, which is fighters, either also goes ground striking or is heavily outnumbered when engaging enemy fighter squadrons. And that is before we talk about the constant up-tiering and facing of R2Y2s and also Arado C3s that just harvest your fighters in head-ons like there is no tomorrow. So you have a very limited amount of time and not that often good chances to actually go after enemy ground units. And I, for myself, have thought that it is the best choice to go after the bombing points to secure them and to make therefore a good amount of civil lines and RP, and then continue to go after the ground units with the remaining rockets, smaller bombs, and also the 20mm cannons. And I had multiple battles where I racked over 20 kills up, and that is certainly really nice. So the plane can do it, but it doesn't really have the support from the rest of the team, and there are too many ground attackers, so you lose a lot of matches. You can't really catch because you're at low altitude, you're in low speed, low energy overall. You cannot really defend yourself against enemy fighters all that long, and that would be even difficult in a Sky Raider. So if you think about this plane having to play it for not just dozens but probably hundreds of matches to gain the amount of civil lines, because you only got one premium plane and it is that, and then to notice, hold on, it's not even the maximum civil line modifier of 2.4 times 2.0. No, this plane has a civil line modifier of 2.1. That is a significant difference, and it is feelable in your post-battle results. However, the RP modifier of 1.9 then is the highest, with the exception of the rank 6 premiums. So that is really awkward. And still, I cannot really recommend this plane because you don't have that much influence on the outcome of a match. In fact, it is overall strange that America got now 2 additional ground attackers with a very high capacity in one patch, whereas other nations have barely anything equivalent to this. So that is just strange. Now, in many matches I tried out things. In many matches I came across the very same issue over and over again, and that is just a problem. So I didn't get that amazing result where I could carry like crazy, where I could just do my best and try to achieve a decisive blow, or where I could just rack up the enemies in a rush. Yes, it's possible that 2,000 pound bombs are really great for a single drop. You can kill any base at once with them, and also then you have multiple rocket options. So what is the final verdict now on this plane? Well, the plane itself is fine. It has good flying characteristics, it has many tools, it has many payload options, and it has also some nice flying characteristics. But the dependence on the map rotation, on the matchmaker, and on your team and the enemy team are just too high to get a reliable result every match, unlike with a fighter where most of the things are in your hand. So that is something that I really need to stress out here. I myself really like the plane, and I would love to play it more, but it is also a bit demoralizing going into this repetitive pattern of ground striking and then getting shot down without the opportunity of making too much. And I know how to fly ground attackers, I know how to deal with enemy fighter attacks, etc. And yet this plane is just not as good as some other planes that do literally the same, like the 84 Sky Raider series, be it the French or the American, the 82 Sky Raider, the AM1, and also a lot of the other fighters that have so many 20mm cannons and rocket load options. So in this respect, this is a rather expensive hangar decoration. That's just how it is. So we actually won this game, which is also not all that often. Let's have a quick look at the post-battle results, and this was, in terms of civil lines, for 1 kill and 16 ground units together with a bomb based, my most successful game, with 106,000 civil lines and nearly 20,000 vehicle research points. That is a lot, but it's still not enough, because this is not an average game, but rather a rather exceptional one. That's it for me today, so thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. I want to continue flying this plane, and maybe I get some better footage, some more interesting scenarios, but it just didn't happen in a period of over 3 days. So I'm sorry about this, but again, if I would show you now some scenes that are quite exotic, I wouldn't really show you the true picture. I know that this is not the hype material that you probably have hoped for, but that's just how it is. Don't blame me for it. I'm just, telling you my experiences. Having said this, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the waves, on the battlefields, and in the skies of War Thunder.